All right, let's talk about I Saw the TV Glow. I just saw this movie, and my first impression of it was this is really well made, and it's really confidently made. This is being distributed by A24. It's the second feature film debut, I believe, from Jing Shoburn. And I saw her movie, We Are All Going to the World's Fair, and I did think it had a similar tone to this. It also kind of dealt with isolation and screens. I did like this more, though. I think this is a very good movie. I remember when it came out, and honestly, I was kind of ambivalent about seeing it, mostly because it looked so sad, and I really wanted to be in the headspace to see this. I honestly do wish I had seen it in the theater, because it is such an amazing movie-going experience. This is one of those movies that's so confidently made. It has such a vivid barrage of images and visuals, and the sound design and the music is just incredible. Also, the way it's edited and combined with the actor's great performance, it just conveys this very specific mood, this feeling of nostalgia and memory. It's not a traditional movie by any means, and I don't think that's going to appeal to everyone. It doesn't have a clear plot. It doesn't have a very straightforward beginning, middle, or end. It's more of a movie that you could kind of feel the vibe of and get immersed in its atmosphere. It's incredibly stylish and well made, and there are movies out there like this that are stylish and beautiful and have great sound, but maybe the story doesn't hit as well. I think this honestly has an amazing story, and I like that it isn't so clear on what it's trying to say. You can kind of interpret that for yourself. I hate to make this comparison, but I honestly think it has a visual style a bit like Euphoria, but I crap on that because that is so generic and it has such a basic story. And this is a coming-of-age story. I think I Saw the TV Glow is a much stronger coming-of-age story than Euphoria. It just has that same visual palette, and I like it a lot more. This movie follows these two kids, Owen and Maddie, who are both kind of outcast growing up, and they bond over this TV show called The Pink Opaque, and it follows them over the course of their lives. It has great visuals, but it matches the substance. It isn't just style over substance, and I really liked the way the filmmaker told the story. It's more experimental than it is a straightforward movie. I saw a lot of people talking about this and calling it a horror movie, and I thought it was going to be a horror movie, mostly due to the trailer, and I'd heard this film really early on was inspired by that creepypasta Candle Cove, and that intrigued me a lot. There are elements of that here about this TV show that is so imbued in the main characters' past and their minds, but it definitely is more of a psychological, existential drama than a horror. It's about the fears of growing up. It's about nostalgia and memory, and it's really this extremely poignant coming-of-age story. And it goes so much against the structure of what makes these traditional movies work, but I do think that's entirely to its benefit. You see so many coming-of-age movies follow the same plot, the same musical cues, the same camera angles. And this movie takes a very different path, both through its subject matter, which is very dark and cold and kind of rooted in this sense of memory the entire film. It has this extremely nostalgic filter where you feel like you've been in the shoes of these characters. Most of the film's content revolves around these two characters who have these kind of dull lives they are not happy with, but they both bonded over this show. And there's this really sentimental part where it's later in the film, and both of the kids have grown up and reunited, and Maddie asks Owen if he remembers the show, and he kind of tearfully recalls that it's his favorite show of all time, and he would never forget it. And I love how this movie states its message. I viewed this movie as a film about being uncomfortable in your reality and growing up and kind of seeking that attachment to childhood, that nostalgia that you remember when you were a kid, that when you get older kind of fades away, and you might feel sad because you don't have those great memories that you had when you were a kid. And one of the things about this movie is it's so open to interpretation. It really can have so many different meanings. I saw this with my friend, and she had a completely different interpretation of it than I did. I saw this more of a movie about losing a part of yourself as you grow older, and I think that makes sense. But there are other themes that play here that, I think work too. It's a really interesting movie. My friend thought this was a movie about struggling with mental health, and also there's themes of struggling with your sexuality or feeling uncomfortable with your place in the world or the body you are in. There's a scene in the movie where Maddie asks Owen if he likes girls, and he says, I like TV shows. So this movie can speak on many different levels. I don't think it's necessarily supposed to be saying one thing, and maybe it is, but what's great is this is so open to interpretation. And what's so profound to me is how this film can have so many different messages for so many different people. I think real great art is when lots of people can see a movie and can discuss it and all have different interpretations of it. There are great movies out there that provoke discussion and conversation. And it's interesting because on a blockbuster level, you have the Christopher Nolan movies, which are also complicated, and you can endlessly debate those films. But this is more of the independent film version. It's super small. It's super low key. It's not entirely clear. It is trying to say like something, and I think it's on purpose that it's kind of keeping it a little vague. You're kind of putting the pieces together. It gives you these fragments of the lives of the characters, but it's enough for you to fully understand what it's trying to say. And the visual design for the movie is just incredible. It was clearly mostly filmed in school hallways and small towns and neighborhoods and football fields and arcade centers and supermarkets. And to me, I loved this. I loved the locations because it really gives it this eerie kind of nostalgic, relatable visual palette. And I just absolutely loved it. Again, if you were an aspiring filmmaker, this is a really inspiring movie because it's all about how they made this. It isn't like it has the most, insane plot in the world. It's mostly just how it tells its story visually and how it actually tells its story and the sound it creates for this. That just gives it its own language. It's very rare that you see a movie and you think that movie like has its own language. I rarely see a movie with a style like that, but it really stood out to me here. I do want to see more movies like this and really appreciate a film that will just make you think and also has these wonderful images and great performances and a beautiful soundtrack. It's one of those independent movies that really feels like it has a unique signature on it, and I'm really excited to see what the director does next. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Go see I Saw the TV Glow, streaming right now on Max. If you have the chance to see it in the theater, go see it.